And hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Sharing Your Journeys. Oh my gosh, I have Soska here, this beautiful person, and the first person to come on to the series talking about encasement. So, I don't know too much about it. I've only kind of known it from a fetish aspect. So that's why I kind of wanted to like Soska to come on and just speak about it in well, however little or however deep we kind of want to go with it. We're obviously going to do a part two. That's like no doubt. So literally, I'll pass the floor to you, Soska.
Hi, I'm Soska. I'm an encasement doll and currently owned by a mistress. And pantyhose is my life. So nice to be here.
It's lovely to have you on. Honestly, I cannot wait to like hear about this. So here's obviously the biggest question that everybody kind of asks is, how did you get into hosiery or pantyhose and encasement? Just because it is something that not everybody does. I don't know too much about like in the hosiery community about too many people doing encasement because I know it's kind of like a bit of an acquired taste, I'd probably say. So
Yeah.
yeah, so can literally just oh my god, just tell me all about your world because I'm so excited just to hear this. So I'll kind of shut up now and I'll let you just sort of speak.
Oh, the basics. I guess like anybody, we all start with you know, with our fetishes. At a young age. So
Mm,
obviously, I saw pantyhose for the first time. I thought it was kind of cool the way it made your skin look perfect. And then
yeah,
the second I felt it, I was like, wow, this feels really good.
yeah,
And then encasement happens, I guess, is when the curiosity of, well, if it's just on my legs and it feels good already, I wonder how it feels all over my body, right? So
mm,
everybody, or some of us at least, I know for me, the second I put a pair of pantyhose over my head and I felt that sensation all over my face, it was probably the best feeling in the world. And then from there, you
wow,
try to slowly get into, so can I cover my whole body with this?
mm,
Obviously, and with like everybody who starts trying encasement, it's sort of trial and error. So when you
yeah,
first make your first sort of encasement, you don't really cover your full body, because you don't know how to cut it right. You don't know how to sort of create that template of making your own encasement from pantyhose or tights perfectly. And it's more trial and error. So doing encasement, and I'm gonna say this, I think it's universal.
mhm,
It's expensive. Pantyhose aren't cheap, especially if you use good quality ones, like me for today. So like for example, like today I'm encased in I got 5 layers on my face and about 2 layers everywhere else in my body. So and today's layers are we're using PV high gloss as the base, and we're using
yeah,
CDR Eternal 20 Super Lucidos as the
yes,
sort of outer layer. So we get that extra shine, as you can see. And also on my face, as you saw just before we did the interview, I put a layer of neon 40s as well, just because I like that extra shine and feel on my
yeah.
face. And yeah, so we'll start with there for now, and let's see what else you have.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so I have too many questions. I have way too many questions right now.
That's fine.
Um, okay, so one thing obviously I've seen because it is I work obviously with a couple of different companies. Like for instance, one of them is fantasy fetishism. And I know
Yep,
obviously they tend to do different kind of they target different things. There's obviously there's a kind of a broad kind of spectrum.
yep,
Um and one thing obviously I've seen with them is they do body encasement. And obviously I think that's like neck sort of downwards. And
yep,
obviously that can be with either like finger gloves or just with I call them mitts because obviously it's just your full hand encased.
yep.
Um, but then so I know obviously like there are places you can potentially buy a full body encasement, whether it is a zip at the front or the back, or it's just obviously to be able to get it on. But you obviously mentioned like you would make it out of hosiery. Like, how? How do you do that?
Okay, so for making it, when I started, there was very few encasement. enthusiasts,
Okay.
obviously. So I would say one of the original ones would be Nylon Michelle.
Okay.
He was way, way back, I would say like 90s. And this is a time when Wolford's, I guess, just started making neon 40s.
Mm,
And
mm.
also, and these are like, old school Wolfords, like she was able to get like fatal neon 40s. And we all know those. We all know Wolford neon 40s. The fatal ones of them are legendary.
Yeah.
Ultimate
Yeah.
shine, no seams. And she had those sort of nylons, and I guess she built her addiction to pantyhose over time. And from there,
Yeah.
she encasement, and her encasement is what we would call sort of a single mask. So she'll make like a shirt, putting the crotch over top. She'll have her legs covered, obviously, because that's pretty easy to
Yeah.
cover. And then from her sort of other pair of pantyhose, she'll make something like we call like a body mask.
Okay.
So you can imagine pantyhose where you have it straight, like a pair of pads, and then she'll cut like where the seams are at the front and at the
Mm.
back holes, and that will sort of be where her arms go through. And she'll pull one leg over, and the other leg will be sort of behind over here. And she'll tie that up and everything. And that's one design of encasement, which is the
Yeah.
like the single head layer, we'll call it. Now, what I have on is a double head one, so there is no like tail or anything back here. It's
Yeah.
just two layers of on the face and one in each hand, sort of overlap. And that
Okay.
from the side, right about here of the pantyhose. So you have one arm that is not encased and one arm that acts as the other leg, while the other layer is on the head. And you sort of overlap, like I said, you overlap them. So you get a
Yeah.
full from that for the top. And I like that method because it creates a more discreet look on the face. You can barely see the features, feels tight in the face, and many pantyhose you can do that. I would say, because of how expensive pantyhose are, the single head
Yeah.
layer is like neon 40s, and a
Okay.
good nylon cherry, she does that for her neon 40s. She used to do the double
Yeah.
head method, but she switched to the single head now because it sort of that method actually sort of protects the pantyhose better actually for encasement, because as you pull encasement on more and more, obviously where you cut will create a run over time unless you
Yeah.
nail polish it to prevent any runs. So it takes time to find these sort of encasement sort of designs, we'll call them, or templates on how to make an encasement suit.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a
Oh
lot of
my God.
development
It's
kind of thing.
it's incredible. Okay, so here's the next question. Oh, honestly, I'm gonna keep bombarding you with questions now. It's there's so much. There's so much. Um, okay, so in terms of like covering your face, obviously, like I kind of assume a lot of people obviously would just do a single layer. So it is you kind of see their face
Yeah, single layer is
slightly
nice.
come through.
Yeah.
Um, but then, so for instance, is it like obviously the more layers you add on, obviously it becomes a little. I would assume it becomes a little bit more restricting, maybe a bit more hard to breathe, hard to see.
Uh,
What is that? What is that like?
the feeling you mean, or just the overall appearance, ambiance, we'll call it, of it? I don't know.
Yeah, I think both aspects. I think in the sense of how it obviously feels. So it's obviously the more layers that you're wearing, but then
Okay.
also in terms of like what I would probably call practicality in terms of can you see through it well? Can you breathe through it well? Can you like
Uh, it's
that
sort of
kind of
when we go towards that, we're going more towards sort of the bondage aspect of encasement, So sort of the
yes.
people, so sort of with one layer, obviously you get the great sensation you get from nylons from your legs, all over your body now, and then
Mm,
as you up, and I think we all know layering. Layering is a great feeling as well, too, right? You
mm,
know, nylons rubbing on each other, sort of all these sensations and everything. But obviously, the more you layer, the more tighter it gets, the more sort of, we'll say, trapped you feel with the panty.
mm. Okay.
But I think a majority of encasement enthusiasts love that sort of feeling where you're trapped in nylon. There's no way to get out of it. It's become a part of you, and yeah, it just feels very sort of like a big hug almost. But you're with obviously hosiery, it feels great.
Yeah.
And some people do like pressure of the head, with more layers on the mask, and they keep layering it up. That sort of tense
Mm,
pressure. And obviously, breathing does become a problem. I'm under 5 in my face right now. Breathing, it's not too bad. You get used to it over time, obviously.
okay.
And oddly enough, I did sleep like this.
No. Okay, so right, okay, there we go. Another question. What's it like to you see, this is what I mean. It's just like boom, 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 boom in my head. So what's it like to sleeping? Because I can imagine obviously general daily wear and everything, but obviously when you're sleeping, it's your body's time to obviously kind of relax, and it is just naturally obviously you're sleeping in it. But it's like, what's it like? Because it's one thing trying to sleep in hosiery, because I've tried it myself before and it was a very different experience. But all over encasement, yeah, what's that like?
Sleeping is I would because you're so stimulated. Because you're so stimulated, it's honestly really tough to sleep the first time.
Okay,
From my
okay,
experience, like first time I slept, I was just overly stimulated. The nylons encasing me, all these feelings. Sleeping does get tough, but over time
yeah,
becomes a part of you. You sort of, I'm not gonna say numb it out, but it becomes normal to feel this way all the time. So
get
when you
you.
sleep,
Okay,
the best thing I think about sleeping in encasement though is when you wake up. It's not when you're sleeping, because sleeping is just you just pass out. And I should say the best way to sleep encased is like just have a big meal or something, and then you sort of get into that sort of food coma or that
oh yeah,
feeling, and then you encase quickly and you just sort of pass out. There's no feeling, there's no sort of transition into the sleep. It's more just instantaneous. But the best
yeah,
feeling to wake up is when you wake up, sometimes you forget you did this. So when you wake up, you get all these sensations all over you. You're like, oh my gosh. And I think it feels amazing. You get just the best feeling in the world just because it's all, like I said, it's all these sensations,
yeah.
everything.
So, what are some of the sensations that you experience?
I mean, I mean, I think you wear hosiery a lot, right? Obviously,
Mm, mm,
I think we all love that feeling when you sort of stroke your legs and you get that smooth sort
mm,
of sort of just sort of glides. And in this
mm.
case, all over you now, so it's just smooth everywhere, and it's just such it's a tease, but now it's the whole body. Because some people
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
feel that love sort of rubbing their legs all day and everything, but now it's my whole body, so it's that sort of similar realm of, oh wow, it's everywhere, and it's
Yeah.
stimulating. I love it, and it just feels great.
Wow. Oh, wow.
It's sort
Okay. Okay.
of addiction to it's overindulgence to that similar sensation you have with nylons in your legs, but now it's your whole body.
Yeah. No, I get that. Okay. Yeah. I can understand that now. I can understand that a lot better.
Yeah,
Okay, so here's another question for you as well. So do you know when you do encasement, are
yeah.
these brand new hosiery that you're working with, or is it like worn pairs? And if it's worn pairs, what's that like? Because obviously, for instance, I know, and obviously I'm not gonna be shy about it, but
Yeah.
it's like, for instance, when people buy worn hosiery, they're obviously getting it for a scent, or they're getting it for whatever kind of purpose. There's so many different factors. Um, but it's like in terms of encasement,
Yeah.
if it was worn, is like, for instance, if there's a scent to it, is that like a whole additional kind of experience that you're
Uh,
adding to what you've kind of already got going on? Or am I
I mean,
just reading the whole thing wrong?
I mean, people buy worn hose, but it's usually just one pair, right? It's not like you buy a whole encasement suit,
Yeah.
you know. Because encasement, you need to buy certain sizes, and most sizes are, especially for the upper body, it's
Mm,
the big, so it allows you to stretch them and everything. So like
yeah.
encasement wouldn't generally use with worn hosiery. Generally
Get
wouldn't be.
you.
It'd usually be new pairs of pantyhose that you fabricate into your encasement.
Right.
And yeah, it
Okay.
would be like that. Like for me, when I do my encasement, for example, these CDR layers, actually, this is a neon 40, so I'm grabbing my face. These CDR layers
Yeah.
are, I think this is the biggest size they have, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
XXXX,
yeah.
size 8, I believe. And you can see how stretchy they are.
Yeah.
It's
Mega.
yeah, you can see how shiny they are, and they stretch really well. You need a good size to sort of fully encase yourself. Too small, and
Yeah.
you sort of drift too much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you want
Yeah.
to be fully covered. As if I think for a true encasement enthusiast, you want to be covered all the way. And
Yeah.
to, I'm fully covered, but encased. But at the same time, I chose to wear an outfit so it doesn't look too
No, I get you.
yeah,
Yeah.
just to be a bit formal today.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Honestly, like, oh my God. It's you know what it is? It's just it's like I think the biggest thing as well is when I speak to people who are just generally who just wear hosiery on a daily anyway.
yeah,
And it is when I have kind of spoken about encasements or saying like, oh look, I know somebody who obviously does, but it's not extreme or anything. It's like they've tried it out. And it is not many people know a lot about it. And I think that's a thing that I kind of want to break as well to be like, well, actually, do you know what? There's a whole different side. Instead of just doing hosiery for your legs, it is like, yeah, you can encase all over. And there could be so many different reasons as to why you're encasing.
yeah,
Um, but it is just it's so fascinating. So like so for you, would
yeah.
you say, I mean, this is kind of I don't really know because I don't know if it would be a fetish for you or if it's something that started off as a fetish but is no longer a fetish, or is it something that you found just no, actually it's something I'm so comfortable in. I've never seen it as a fetish. Like
Yeah.
what's it like for you?
For me, it is a fetish.
Okay.
It is a fetish. It's sort of a sexual pleasure you get from just being like this, you know? And
Mm,
I've actually made sort of pantyhose my life in general, you know? Sort of it's my life and it's part of who I am fully, you know? And
mm,
it does have a term, it does feel great to be sort of attached to something in that sense where it just creates nothing but where it creates only happiness for you, you know? And that's why I chose encase.
yeah.
And since you're saying encasement is sort of the next step to like pantyhose sort of fetishism,
Mm.
you can actually go further from this too as well.
Are you joking?
Uh,
How? How?
it goes
How?
so like when we have encasement, then encasement, you know, I'm free, I'm covered and everything, but
Yeah.
I still move. And then once we get into like pantyhose mummification, that's when it gets, I think, a bit further.
I've
And that's when you
never.
like, yeah, wait till you hear this one.
I've never heard of that in my life.
Yeah, this is when we get even further. So, do you want
Wow.
to keep emphasizing it, or go further with it, or do you want to save it for the next
Boom.
video? Because that this
Boom.
at this point to this it gets a bit too fetish like too
Okay.
much more kinky, much more sort of
Okay. Get you.
yeah.
Okay. Right. That's a part two. Okay. Right. Everybody now. Yeah. Part two. Uh-huh. Definitely. Because
We're going
I need
for
to know more.
dark basement, I guess.
Oh my God. I did not know.
Yeah,
Wow. But then I suppose it is actually, I can imagine to like with anything in life, it like I always say, like millionaires wanting to become billionaires, there's always going to be some sort of next step that you can do or you can create to
yeah,
just push things further, to push the boundary further. And it is it's like, whoa, blow my mind. But then I can kind of understand to be like, well, yeah, actually it can't just stop it in encasement. We can
yeah.
take it further. Oh my, have you tried it?
What the further now, the next level?
Yeah, the mummification stuff.
Oh, I've done it so many times now. Done it so many
Wow.
times. It's a further sensation sort of experience. And in this
Okay.
case, it's just I would say it's just pure bliss at this point because where you just it goes so far that there's a lot to describe about it actually. It's a talk, so yeah, part two for sure because we're gonna talk about
Yeah.
this.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I need to make sure we have enough time to talk about this. I don't want it to be a quick thing and they're like, oh, by the way, we're coming to the end of this. No, no, no. This is a part two.
Oh yeah, it's a
Wow.
definitely it goes further and it's a bit we'll call it rated R in that sense, you know, where it gets
Yeah.
really in depth. I think because you're such a well, I consider you one of the sort of original hosiery queens of Instagram, you know?
Thank you.
Because yeah, you were one of the first ones I saw on Instagram that sort of posted hosiery. Sort of at first it was all just reviews and everything, but I'm
Mm,
like, she can't be posting all this if she doesn't like what she's doing, you know? So there has to be some
yeah,
sort of we'll call it addiction to hosiery to some extent.
to
It's
some
because
extent, yeah.
yeah, because back in the day, I remember it was when I started IG, it was you. There's a girl back in the day called Skin Tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Miss Hose was one of the first ones as well.
Oh, that name rings a bell. That name rings a bell.
Miss
Yeah,
Hose,
yeah.
she posts a lot of CDR Wolford content, and just like me, she's Canadian. I didn't realize that until she posted. I think many years later after that, she is indeed
Oh, wow.
Canadian. So I was just like, and I didn't believe this until now that there's a lot more Canadian hosiery
Mm,
yes than I thought. Like for example, Miss Ho.
yeah.
Can't remember. I think there's let's see, trying to think here. There's Jules McLean. She's also Canadian. Uh we
Oh,
also have
okay.
we also have what's her name now? Nylon Alexa. She's from Ukraine, but now she lives in Vancouver. Also another
Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so yeah, all these Canadian content creators. It's really great to see how far sort of
Yeah.
the pantyhose hosiery community has gotten.
Oh, no, definitely. Oh my God, yeah. One thing I've definitely known, especially with my brand, it is just it's huge and it only keeps getting bigger, which is great because it's offering all the support and the help for those where it is depending on where they are in their hosiery journey. It's nice to
Yeah,
know the fact that there is something out there that people can actually be involved in
yeah.
and have such a great experience with as well. So oh my God, wow. Oh, I love it when people blow my mind, honest to God. Oh, I'm so glad you spoke to me about it here and not beforehand because it is just wow.
So big. And I'm very honored to have sort of helped others sort of build their content as
Yeah,
well. Like Nylon Cherry, she does encasement.
yeah,
She's probably the best biggest encasement profile I think right now on Instagram. Nylon Cherry. I'm very honored to have helped her because when I saw her
yeah,
first post, I was like, oh wow, you like encasement. But you ever tried like sort of better brands? You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
CDR, Wolfers, that kind of stuff.
Mm,
And he's like, wow, these are expensive. I'm like, yeah, they are expensive, but I would
mm,
love to support you to, you know, create your sort of encasement, have your
yeah.
dream come true. And now she's one of the best, I think, probably the best content creator for encasement. I'll share.
Amazing. Oh my God, amazing. Oh, I'm glad to hear
Would
that.
love if you're encasement enthusiast. Nothing but shiny hose, perfect encasement, and very artistic too. She doesn't post any nudity. She's always fully covered, respectfully.
Mm,
And it's all about sort of just the pantyhose, the shine, and the encasement. That's all it is. And it's
yeah,
artistic if you look at it too. It's just a doll
yeah.
in different poses.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
get that. And I think there is something, yeah, it is funny you say that because I think there is something pretty artistic about it actually in a sense. When you take away the whole like the stigma with oh it's just, it's got to do with a fetish or bondage or whatever. When you take that out of it and
yeah.
actually like I can imagine see images done so tastefully,
Oh
it
yeah.
would be actually like wow, something really beautiful to see. But I think it's yeah. Art comes in many shapes and forms, doesn't it, at the end of the day? So,
She's taking it to a very artistic, inspiring level. I think that's amazing. But then we also obviously have the more kinkier stuff like Nylon
yeah.
Cherry and
Yeah.
Fetish. Jenny's Fetish is probably the best sort of encasement movie sort of creator, I guess.
Yeah.
After Nala Michelle disappeared, she came right after, and I was like, oh wow, finally another
Yeah.
encasement
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that I can sort of enjoy and watch at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think most importantly also is like there's also a world of people who just love having sort of an encasement. We'll call it doll, you know, similar to like latex people. You have Gims. Encasement has that
Yes.
encasement has that similar thing, and yeah, and
Wow.
obviously. I'm a mistress, you know.
Yeah.
She loves having her own doll, and I think it's part of her fetish as well, you know what I'm saying? She loves pantyhose.
Yeah.
Something like this to play with, I guess, to some extent. Yeah. So
I
yeah,
get
also
that.
this is a little shout out to my mistress. Hi, Mistress B. Hope you're having a good day.
Oh, I hope to God she sees this video as well. Oh my
Oh,
God. And
oh,
yeah,
she's with.
it'd be amazing to see her as well.
She would love to see me just sort of, uh, uh digging digging into our world of because we're
Yeah.
sort of with me right now we're sort of into the thin line between sort of encasement and sort of going way into the outside of pantyhose, I think.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
wow. Well, yeah, it will be to be fair, it'll be actually pretty neat to see her and her whole world as well, to be fair. But oh my gosh, this has been like absolutely incredible.
Such a deep and interesting world with once you get into pantyhose like this at this level, I think.
Yeah, it is. And I think naturally it is one of those things, isn't it? It is just, especially when it isn't hugely known or like spoken about or kind of
Oh yes.
shared. It is just, yeah, you can imagine there will be a lot of stigma attached to stuff like that. And a lot of, for instance, it's like, I don't know as much as what I do now. So
Oh yeah, it's
it's,
such a niche.
yeah,
Such a niche.
it is. It really is. But thank you so much for coming on. I'm just thinking, obviously, because I don't want to kind of run out of time. But thank you so much for coming on. Honest to God, you've taught me a lot, and I hope to God you've taught a lot of people out there just little basics about
Oh yeah.
encasement. Yeah, honestly, you've been absolutely great, and just thank you so much for coming on and just yeah, letting me in into your little world in a sense. So I really appreciate that, honestly.
I'm just excited to be here in general. It's good. It's great to talk with other hosiery enthusiasts like you. It's just great. It's very free to talk about it. It's just nice to
Yeah,
talk to some. I'll
yeah,
be honest, like hosiery lovers like us, we are, even though I know there's a lot of us, we are sort of far and spread out a bit too. So it's just great to connect in any way, shape, or form.
yes. Yes. No, I definitely do agree. I definitely do agree. And so for everybody who is watching, yes, I will repeat once again. We're doing a part two. We are going to be delving. Hell, there might even be a part three. Who knows? Because honestly, I'm on my own little journey, like learning about all this now. So potentially there could be many parts to this.
Yes, I'll have to change up the different types of layering I got because this layer is, there's many ways you can layer up. That's the best part about encasement. You can layer up and get different color schemes and
Yes. Exactly. So yeah, so we'll be delving deeper in part two. So literally watch out for that. But honestly, thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate you and your time. And
thank you so.
literally until next time.
Can't wait. Can't
All
wait.
right. Well, I will speak to you soon. Sending so much love to you right now. And yeah, just wishing you a blissful evening wearing all this amazing encasement.
Oh, thank you so much though.